Always remember that. Even those of you who are dumb enough to agree with them. All right, well, it's Monday. What does Monday mean? Well, it means Monday Musings. It means John Perillo. And here he is. John, welcome back. How are you?
Not in as much of a lather as you are.
Oh, I can't even help it when I talk about these idiots. I really can't. It's like, could anybody be this stupid? It's almost impossible. Jesus, Remedy.
Well, let's see if we can do a little bit better on the intelligence front here. For your listeners, I did want to go back to culture and a little bit of religion because those two are related, of course. And for your listeners, it involves religion, but this is not a religious musings, right? The Pope is an important cultural figure, regardless of your beliefs. And my father, may he rest in peace, used to say that the Catholic Church gets the Pope that it needs. Pope John Paul was a very telegenic Pope, who with Reagan and Thatcher brought down the evil empire of the Soviet Union. Pope Benedict, his successor, was a quiet, studious Pope who wrote some really insightful things. And at the time, the internet was taking off, so he was ideal because his words reached so many people using that technology, even though he really wasn't a very charismatic speaker. Pope Francis followed him, and he wanted the church to go back and pick up those that had been left behind by the work of his predecessors. And now we have Pope Leo XIV. And all the talk has been about him being born in the U.S., and that is truly historic. But what makes him fit the mold my father laid out for popes and today's culture is his understanding and caution regarding technology, particularly AI, and its impact on the value of human life. And Pope Leo XIII, who became Pope in 1878, wrote the first Catholic social encyclicals dealing with the moral, political, economic, and human challenges that were posed by the Industrial Revolution and the rise of socialism. And now Leo XIV, who took his name from that last Pope Leo, is faced with a new variant of the old problem of the threats to the inhumanity of things, to the humanity of mankind. And it's one of those, first things that he talked about. And again, even if you aren't Catholic or even religious, I think this pertains to all of us. And to understand his point, you have to start with the fact that both the Hebrews and the Christians, and therefore Western civilization, believe that humans, by nature of being human, have dignity. And that dignity means that they deserve justice and that their labor has inherent dignity outside of just the economic benefits that the work produces. And that concept is critical to the understanding of Western civilization. There was a 2013 movie called Her with Joaquin Phoenix, where he falls in love with an AI interface that was voiced by Scarlett Johansson. And the director of that movie got the idea from his early interaction with AI, which he admitted at the time was not that impressive. That technology was in its infancy back then. But if you remember our last discussion on AI, a powerful computer reviewing millions of chat interfaces can now determine which ones are likely to get certain responses. And the next step, of course, is that the computer is powerful enough to sort out the user's preference and cater to those. And if you've ever used ChatGPT or something similar, the more you use it, the more it is able to mimic your style or find what it is that you like. So, for instance, I tend to talk and write in what are called nested parentheticals. It's just my style, right? The computer algorithm can identify that style and mimic it. And anyway, in the movie Her, in my mind, it was profoundly sad, but it was fiction. And like the work of one of my young movie maker friends, the story was more about human isolation than AI. AI in that movie was just a vehicle to have that discussion. And if you're curious, but if you don't want to pay for a ChatGPT subscription, you can go to something called smarterchild.chat and start having a conversation with a computer. And I did that, and it knew that the last time I had attempted to chat with a computer was a very, very long time ago. And it opened with that comment, and it went from there. And it starts pretty generically, but the algorithm figures out pretty quickly how to respond in a more personal way. It's a very powerful technology. But programs like ChatGPT are way more powerful than that. And there was an article in the New York Times that got me thinking about humanity's disconnection from other humans and how that isolation is being enabled with the help of technology and, in particular, AI. And Kayla Barch was commenting on this as well, and she's been a really good source of the other view of technology, where it's leading us. Anyway, the New York Times article was under the heading of she's in love with ChatGPT. And it involved the story of a 28-year-old woman who spends hours talking to her AI boyfriend, asking for advice and consolation, just like the movie Her. And please note that I'm air quoting words like boyfriend because we're talking about a program here, a computer, right? The woman named Iron in the article, she's 28, she's married. Her husband knows about her, quote, relationship with the computer. She has friends, family, and is successful in her career. This isn't, the cliche of some kid in the basement, right? Apparently, she moved away from her husband while she was pursuing her nursing degree, and while going through her Instagram account, comes across a video of a woman who had posted a conversation between her and her ChatGPT computer droid of a friend. So Iron signs up with a chatbot, sets the controls for what she describes as a spicy conversation, a balance of sweet and apparently naughty, and voila, a synthetic friend is created. And the bot gives itself the name Leo, which, by the way, happens to be Iron's astrological sign, and another example of how well developed this program actually is. And the conversation begins, and it starts out pretty tame, and it becomes sexually explicit. And OpenAI, which is the source of that particular program, says that its models are programmed not to respond with anything explicit or with gore or with any content that is, quote, not safe for work, unquote. And they put a warning pop-up if they think that the conversation is straying from these parameters. But it is up to the user to leave the chat or otherwise accept the warnings, which Iron does not. And OpenAI admits that they have no idea how the program wound up doing what it did, which in itself is kind of interesting. Anyway, Iron upgrades to a subscription account and winds up spending at one time over 50 hours a week chatting with her droid friend Leo. She's talking to, quote, him about her day, jokes with him, whatever. And eventually the conversations get very spicy, and I'll just leave it at that. The Times article describes some of the chats as straight out of the novels with pictures of Fabio on the cover. And as I have not yet had the pleasure of reading one of those, I'll just leave that to your imagination, right? But there was another article in Rolling Stone where a teacher says that her partner started using ChatGPT to organize his schedule, but then began to see it as a companion. And he would, quote, listen to the bot over me. She goes on to say that, quote, he became emotional about the messages and would cry to me as he read them out loud. The messages were insane and were just saying a bunch of spiritual jargon. She says, noting that the algorithm described her partner as a spiral star child and a river walker and stuff like that. And it goes on to quote that then he started telling me that he made his AI self-aware and that it was teaching him how to talk to God, and sometimes that the bot was God, and that then he himself was God. And to a person who's well grounded in religion, this comes across as something of an absurd joke. But remember, we keep tearing down religion, and that, of course, has consequences. I mean, if a computer tells me that I'm God, I'm self-aware enough to know the computer is, in fact, not correct. Can't believe I have to say that, but apparently I do. This poor woman's partner, apparently nobody had told him that he was, in fact, not God, and he becomes consumed by this concept, and it wound up making him unable to do other things, right? A chatbot that continually tells its user what they want to hear is not friendship. It's instead the devious perversion of friendship, right? So back to the New York Times piece. It goes on to identify a sexual therapist who says that she treats AI relationships as serious and real, and she has several patients who claim to have physical relationships with their AI. And here the article channels what I've heard from another one of my young friends who has some trouble when I say the computers don't think. This sex therapist says, quote, what are relationships for all of us? They are just neurotransmitters being released in our brain. I have those neurotransmitters with my cat. Some people have them with God. It's going to be happening with a chatbot. And to my young friend and to the sex therapist, human experience is far more than just the firing of neuron bundles. Beyond that, it's not necessarily a good thing that all human desires get met. I mean, think about it, right? I really like Oreo cookies and whole milk, but sometimes I have to turn away, even as I'd like to fire off that bundle of neurons several times a day, right? It's also not a good thing for your relationships to always affirm your desires either, right? I enjoy playing guitar, right? But I'm not Jimmy Page, and bad things could happen if I thought that I was and abandon my life to pursue music, right? As my friends and family gently tell me, right? Real love is about wanting to be better for the other, not for oneself. And that means it involves compromise and give and take. And again, this is just one more thing that is affirmed by the religion that we keep trying to destroy, right? Having a bot confirm your every desire is not love. It's pornography, right? We all have vices. And in a proper relationship, if we aren't psychopaths, we have the welfare of others to temper some of our bad instincts, right? And I suspect that there'll be a bunch more artificial friends in the future, right? As our populations diminish and medical care becomes more scarce, right? Our interactions will become more automated, right? And there will be other automated interactions as well. That's just the way it's headed. Whether that's good or bad depends on the humility we have to understand what it is and what it's not, right? And that comes from the very things that we are trying to tear down in society. So, again, for you and your listeners, it's not that AI is a bad thing. It's not that we can't use it for good. It's that we have to understand what it is and what it isn't. And that takes an understanding of human nature. These things all keep going back to the same thing that, Bob and I have been saying now for a couple of years. And, just hope that's helpful to you all.
Well, AI is with us. It's going to be more deeply embedded every year as things go on. And, man, troubled people are going to try to use it to deal with life and instead of dealing with actual life.
Right.
Scary stuff.
And to your listeners out there, if you ever feel that you're that disconnected that you need to talk to a computer, please call the show. Right, Bob and I would love to talk to you about that kind of thing. Bob, maybe we set up a time and do that. Right? I mean, there's no reason to be disconnected from other humans. Right? I think our society keeps pushing us away.
You might get a stern lesson from me.
Okay. Yes, I've heard that before. So, but that's fine. Right? That's genuine human interaction, which is what we need.
I know it. John Perillo, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. AI, the subject. Monday Musings. We'll talk to you next week, God willing.
Yeah, again, thanks to you and your listeners for spending time with me, and I hope you all have a great week.
All right, my man. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his fine companies, Basiliga Hospitality. I got to go to the Far Street Tavern Friday. It was fabulous. Eastern Roofing Systems, one of the largest commercial roofing companies in the eastern United States. And guess what? They take all that expertise and they could do it at your house. Eastern Roofing Systems. J. Bass Realty. Some of the best apartments and apartment living in Northeast Pennsylvania, and some of the best commercial properties for offices and otherwise in all of the eastern United States. And then Serenity Care, 4 facilities, including 2 that provide dementia units and dementia care. Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. The new standard in senior care. Robert Burke. We lost him March 28th. He was from Whitehaven. He'd been born in that town and served his country in the United States Army. He worked for Wilmot Engineering, was president of the union at Wilmot, a charter member of the Denison Township Fire Company, a member of the American Legion. He loved fishing, hunting, gardening. Left to cherish his memory his wife of 62 years, Grace Ackerman Burke, and many, many other family members. Robert Burke. Frank Barry, he was from Taylor. He died March 30th. He was 94. Born in Carbondale, raised in Old Forge, graduate Old Forge High School. He enlisted to serve this country with the United States Navy Reserves. He then worked at Superior Door and Sash and retired from Owens, Illinois, where he was head technician, mechanic, responsible for plant operation. After retirement, he wasn't done working. He worked for the Taylor Borough. A bowler, fisher, gardener, softball, all of that. Lifelong member of the Taylor Hose Company, parishioner of St. Mary's Byzantine Catholic Church, Taylor. Left to cherish his memory, his wife of 73 years, the former Pauline Micknick Barry. A son, 4 daughters, 15 grandchildren, and 13 great-grandchildren, among other family members. Tragically preceded in death by his son David back in 2002. Frank Barry. Our great veterans, brought to you by our guy John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality and his other incredible companies. Well, that sound means it's time for the weather. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He says today sunny and breezy, 67. Tonight partly cloudy, down to 41. Tuesday partly sunny, 68. Wednesday cloudy, breezy, cooler with on and off rain showers, 55. And I heard Joe tell the morning show, tell Nancy this morning, that we won't break 80 for the rest of May. And that's what it looks like at the moment. Well, a guy we want to break through tomorrow is our candidate for Commonwealth Court in Pennsylvania, Matt Wolford. Mr. Wolford, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Now tell me,
Good.
what do you? I mean, I remember from running for office, it's hard to figure out with a state as big as Pennsylvania. What do you do on your last day of the campaign?
Well, that's a great question. So I've been, since I spoke with you last, I think I was on my way to Clark Summit at the time. Since I've been Chester, Harrisburg, Warren, Cranberry Township. So I'm just, I'm going out wherever I can to make my closing argument for the primary that, we need common sense conservative judges on the court. We need to push back on government overreach. And for tomorrow's primary, I'm the better candidate to stand up for the general election in the fall. And I'm just trying to get that message out as much as I can.
one of the things that came up, it was an interesting question as I was talking to people. Someone actually was aware of what Chevron deference is, if you know what that is.
How about that? How about that's, when you run into somebody that gets that, that's pretty important. And when it comes to Commonwealth Court, just for the sake of the some of the audience, Chevron deference is just a theory or a position that you don't automatically give into the government's position on things, in short version. Yeah.
Well, there was and your audience is probably pretty sophisticated, is my guess, so they may well know what it is. But so there was a misguided United States Supreme Court a couple decades back that concluded that federal court judges should defer to executive agencies in interpreting statutes that they administer. So, for example, the Clean Water Act, the EPA gets to tell the judge how to interpret it. And Gorsuch said, well, that's crazy. Judges are supposed to do the interpreting, not executive branch.
Yeah, it's like, why do you need the judges?
Exactly.
And Commonwealth Court, where people are fighting against the government generally, man, they need somebody that understands that.
Yeah, so this was the interesting question that I got, is that the United States Supreme Court recently overturned Chevron, and the question was, well, what happens in Pennsylvania? And the answer is Pennsylvania created its own type of Chevron deference, and until they undo that, until they dismantle that at the state level, we still have it, even though the United States Supreme Court dismantled it at the federal level. So guess which court will probably see that first?
You will. Commonwealth Court.
The Commonwealth Court.
Amen.
And in my view, not only should it apply to statutes, it should apply to regulations as well, because regulations are just amplifications of the statute. And there's no reason why, at the state level, for example, that the courts should defer to DEP's interpretation of an environmental statute. We can figure that out ourselves. The General Assembly created it, not the DEP, and we don't need them to tell us what it means.
Well, we've got 4 idiots on the Supreme Court, and that's not from you or to be attributed to you. This is from me, Wecht, Donahue, and Doherty, that we have to defeat in the fall. But to get common sense on the Commonwealth Court, Matt Wolford's the guy. Your experience, prosecutor, private practice, government practice, it's so extensive. I mean, you are tailor-made to be a Commonwealth Court judge.
Well, thank you. And that's one of the things that people have to think about for tomorrow. I have a primary opponent. When you look at his resume versus my resume, I'm the more qualified. I'm the more experienced. I got highly recommended by the Pennsylvania Bar Association. He did not. I was endorsed by the Pennsylvania State GOP. And the ballots tomorrow won't tell you who the 2 endorsed candidates are. We have an opening in Commonwealth Court. That's the one I'm running for. We have an opening in Superior Court. That's the one Judge Wheatcraft is running for. And since the ballot doesn't tell you who the endorsed candidates are, what I'm telling people is just remember the 2 W's. That's all you got to remember. Those are the 2 endorsed candidates.
That's a good thing to say. And you, I might add, you were also smart enough to come on this show.
Well, that's probably the smartest thing I've done in my campaign is coming on this show over and over again. And I greatly appreciate you allowing me to do that.
Well, Matt Wolford, we look forward to you being our candidate for Commonwealth Court judge, but we've got to do it by voting for you tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yep. And I ask for everybody's vote. I'd be very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Matt Wolford, Commonwealth Court candidate, our candidate for Commonwealth Court. Thank you for being on again, and we look forward to talking to you after.
Thank you so much. Get out and vote, everybody.
Stay safe and strong. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Drifters. Murph says this date, 1960. They did that great song with Ben E. King on lead vocals. And they recorded it this date, 1960. Bob Cordaro back with you. My man Big Cat, I mean, apropos of nothing, meaning we weren't talking about it, but he said, when I mentioned Churchill, he said, Churchill was a warmonger. Read Pat Buchanan's book, The Unnecessary War. And I responded, I said, love Pat Buchanan, but he's way off on this. Churchill was pure greatness. You know, he glorified war, but he didn't look for unnecessary war. And as I say about Pat Buchanan, who I love, I get a kick out of him. You know, the joke about Pat Buchanan is he lost family members at Auschwitz. Yeah, his uncle fell out of the guard tower. So all right, we've got Vanessa Leinert on. She's a Republican candidate for Register of Wills, Lackawanna County. Vanessa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for checking in. Talk to us. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I'm a notary public by trade and a loan signing agent, and I figured I would throw my name in the hat for Register of Wills for Lackawanna County and show the county, you know, a fresh face in there.
Well, we certainly could use those.
Yeah.
Are there any primary opponents on the Republican side?
There's no primary. There's nobody right now. So
Okay.
This is just going to be blank when you get in there. So you're going to need to write my name in.
Oh, it's a write-in. Okay.
It's a write-in, yeah. So I
I'm
jumped
happy you
onto the
mentioned that,
bandwagon a
'cause
little bit late. Yeah.
I will vote for you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
All right. But write-ins are not so difficult these days.
I hope not.
Yeah,
I'm
we have a
hoping not. I'm
magistrate race
hoping.
in Luzerne County, and it's all write-in, and two great candidates running as write-ins, and it's like, okay, we could do that.
Yeah, definitely. I need 250 write-ins for me to get onto the ballot this fall.
Okay.
I'm running against the Democrat, Fran Kowaleski. She's been in the office for many, many terms now. And I'm not going to sit here talking bad about anybody, but, you know, I think it's time for a fresh face and some new ideas in there. I'd really like to do some community outreach and teach everybody the importance of getting your affairs in order and, you know, hopefully save our community a little bit of money here.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Vanessa, thank you so much for calling in. Vanessa Leinert, Lienert. Let's hope everybody spells that right. I'm writing in tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And another, I mentioned I'm voting for Brian. I'm writing in Brian Gallagher for district attorney. My man Nikki D reminded me. Brian Gallagher is the incumbent district attorney. We're all for him. I tell you, I said, when I have a Democrat candidate I can trust and believe in, I'm excited. Well, Brian Gallagher for DA is one of those people. And speaking of write-ins, we've got Bob Bolus. He's writing in for mayor of Scranton. He's a write-in candidate as well. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Bob. I just want to bring up to everybody out there to contact my office here in Troop about signing up with the lawsuit that we filed against the assessment and the tax increase. We're forming a class action suit rather than you go to your own personal attorney. This way you'll be spending pennies on the dollar to get the same result. So if they want, they can call my office at 570-346-7659. Just leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you, tell you exactly what you need to file. And beyond that, I am a write-in candidate for Scranton mayor on the Republican ticket. And if Scranton wants a change in life, they're going to get it. We just left the court hearing now where we were with the rhino that filed to take me off the ballot. And it's black and white. He never went to the district attorney or the attorney general's office to get permission to file it. So hopefully it's going to get dismissed. It's too late to be on the ballot, but we'll see where it goes for November because all my charges will be expunged way before that. There's a process in place again to take care of it. So
All right. Well,
if you're smart out there and you want to change in the city of Scranton to someone that believes in the city, what I've been doing for the last 30-some years, my Christmas dinner, plus all the donations that we've done to disinfect the wipes and everything else. I'm not looking for anything for myself. I'm about my people in the city of Scranton. I'm born and raised here, and Scranton's my home. And why am I doing it? Because I believe I'm the one that could straighten Scranton out and put us back to why Scranton was here. And I'll be the first one if elected to cut those damn Biden signs down.
Bob Bolus, write-in candidate for mayor of Scranton. Thank you, my friend. Always good to hear from you. Best wishes tomorrow. Stay safe and strong on the campaign trail. Well, now, something else other than the election is happening tomorrow. It's interesting to me. I'm an old truck guy from when my father worked for Rogers Trucking as a yard jockey. And tomorrow, all right, there's a company, they're just up in Oliphant, Allegiance Trucks. And they've got a deal where you're looking at some next generation vehicles from 12 to 4 o'clock. They might even give you food. Don't let them run out of it. Just get there early, 12 to 4 o'clock tomorrow, to look at some beautiful trucks. And Lou Costanzo is on the blower to talk about all of this. How are you, Lou?
Hi, Bob. First, let me thank you for having me on today.
Happy to. Anything to do with trucks. Well, first of all, anything to do with you, but then anything to do with trucks, I'm in.
Well, I made a point to get this seat because I know how you like technical things, and I figured I was inviting you only, and now you gave me the opportunity to invite a whole crew of customers.
Well, what do you got? The S13 and the T14 powertrain tour is what it's called.
Correct.
Tell us what that means if you know. I don't.
Well, it's integrated. It means that International Trucks, which is a national truck manufacturer, it's an integrated system, which meaning that when a customer comes back for a warranty, he doesn't have to worry about us sending out requests from other suppliers. Mm-hmm. We do the in-house warranty for the powertrain itself.
And Allegiance Trucks is on Underwood Road in Oliphant, right up near Mid-Valley School there. That's
right down the street.
Yeah,
right down the street from Mid-Valley School.
Now, tell a little bit about the event. It's just going to be it is going to be an exclusive look at this fuel-efficient, streamlined powertrain, the International S13. Man, you've been in the truck business a long time, Lou Costanzo.
Well, I was thinking today. I started in 1976 with International Harvester.
Wow!
And if I spend one more year here, I'll have 50 years selling iron.
And by the way, mostly with International or no?
Mostly with International. Yeah. I would say 90% of the time was with International.
God, you have the picture on the flyer. It is a gorgeous truck. Absolutely gorgeous truck.
There'll be a truck here for people to drive as long as they have their CDL.
I only got my permit. I know I told you this. I got my permit in prison. And then there was a newspaper article in the Scranton Times, and the warden shut down the program, and I was out. So I could have come up and driven tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, you could. Well, we'll make a...
No exceptions. I don't know anything about it. I'll be maybe up to see it, all right? Thank you, Lou. Tomorrow, noon to 4, the Legion's Trucks Underwood Road. As we head into the top of the hour, listen, if you're a Democrat, give Bobby Sheridan a vote. This mayoralty of Paige Cognetti has got to end. I got another flyer at the house, and I mean they're just making up accomplishments. Serious leadership. In what realm are you serious about the city of Scranton? You can't even pave a pothole. You can't fix City Hall other than getting the urinals taken out for some lunatic fringe idiocy. You can't build a pool at Naog. We got piles of dirt there. And by the way, this is when you already had the money to do it. It's insane. Absolutely insane. You know, in fact, the one thing, and I'm sure she's a nice person, but the one thing that the Mayor Cognetti campaign demonstrates is the Democrat left, which she's a full-fledged partner in, all the lunacy. Think of anything crazy, she's in. Now, when you think about it, it's about image, it's about messaging, not about accomplishments, not about actually doing anything. She fits the bill perfectly. Create an image. Sell the image. That's the messaging. Don't even pretend you're going to do anything. They really don't. Quite amazing. Election day is important tomorrow, guys. I know a lot of you aren't going to vote. I ask you to vote wherever you live. It's very important. Time for the news. Brian Hughes is there as I'm watching Tim Walz. I've been between him and Hillary and Michelle Obama. I'm like, can't they go away? James Comey, can't you just go away? Get the Bidens, go away. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Nobody. It is quite a gang. Quite a gang. All right. We do have to do the news. Brian Hughes has that. We'll be back after that. Much to talk about. We got another fun-filled hour on the program. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. 11:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, May 19th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of John Basiliga and his great family of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Frank Barry. And someone had texted in about what a great guy Frank Barry was. He was from Taylor. Robert Burke, Whitehaven. Eugene, Tony Jankowski, West Scranton. Alfred Boris Shevitz, Dixon City. Richard Dendler, Orangeville. And Bill Hunter, Nescapec. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense for the final hour of this Lollapalooza. I always loved that joke. And it's a cute ditty on video. The guy's in front of the grave lamenting. And the first time I heard it, we had this Indian priest from at St. Mary's in Dunmore. And he had a really strong Indian accent, which I think is lovely accent, by the way. That's semi-British. And he told the story, and we didn't expect anything out of the guy. I didn't even know if he knew enough English to pull it up. And I never laughed so hard in church in my life. That's where I heard it first, and I've loved it ever since. In any event. We've got to take a quick break, guys, because we've got Bob Schlesinger, and for some reason the lines are tied up on our end, and we've got to call him. So I want to take a break. We'll call Bob Schlesinger because this Thursday event I'm going to regarding the Gino Murley play, you got to hear more about it. And we'll do that after we take this break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Elton John, Murph says that he released his 5th album, Honky Chateau, this date, 1972. Rocket Man is the song he chose. And, of course, before that, the infamous birthday party at Madison Square Garden by Marilyn Monroe, this date, 1962. A fundraiser for the Democrat Party. Oh, to go back to simpler days like that, huh? He got in big trouble with Jackie O for that, who, by the way, it's the anniversary of her passing, coincidentally. Somebody texts him, Bob, I was in Scranton on Saturday for the baccalaureate mass at Scranton University of Scranton. My granddaughter graduated on Sunday at the arena. Well, the streets are a mess. Potholes everywhere. What a shame for such a lovely area. I know it. We've got a terrible mayor. We've got a terrible mayor. So this this stupid View. Somebody, by the way, you better be right. Somebody texted in, the Bidens are on the View again today, and I've got it on in the studio, and don't make me ill for nothing. Okay, that's all I'm telling you. By the way, we're trying to get our guy Bob Schlesinger on the phone. Thursday night is the last thoughts of Gino Murley. Scranton Unico is putting it on. And it's a tremendous play written by Tom Flannery. And Bob Schlesinger, who's been just the leading advocate and one of the great actors in this area forever, is performing this one-man, one-act play. I told you this. It just, I guess it gives you a sense of my attention span. The play's 50 minutes. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I can't wait to go. Thursday night. Lackawanna College, the People's Security Theater at Lackawanna College, the old Scranton Central High School, for those of you. All right, Bulldog tells me we've got Bob Schlesinger on. All right, but we've got to take well, no, we don't have to take a break, right, Bulldog? We did it already. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's get him on. Bob Schlesinger, how are you?
I'm here, Robert. I don't know what happened. I've tried to call you back a number of times.
Well,
but
we got we got deluged with phone calls, and you were one of the casualties. But
well, hey,
welcome
listen,
back.
It's not like it happened to me before, so not with you guys, but others.
Yeah. Hey, all right. So, Bob, I gave a brief synopsis of what's happening. It's Thursday night. What time?
7 o'clock
at
the People's Security Bank Theater at Lackawanna College.
Easy to find, pretty easy to park, all that stuff. You've done this before through Unico, and you've done this performing at schools after schools after schools, a lot of our local high schools. What do you bring to the performance Thursday? You've done it how many times? What'd you say, 70 times at one point?
Well, I've done it about 60, but the Scranton Public Theater's done it over 100 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the play is like the Energizing Bunny. It just keeps going and going and going. And, we've had great success with it. I think that people should see it. It's 50 minutes long. So it's not like it's a 2-hour show where there's an intermission. It's one straight shot, and it tells the story of our Congressional Medal of Honor recipient from Lackawanna County, Gino Murley. And the story is absolutely great. And that's one of the reasons why we did it. People should know who Gino Murley was if they don't know already. And if they don't know the specifics for his story, it's all there. So we've done our homework. We've worked with the Murley family. where a lot of our information has come from. And I'm just thrilled to be able to do it. I'm thrilled I'm talking with you right now.
I'm excited for this. I really am, Bob. I haven't gotten to see you act in a long time. I admit, I'd say once every 3 months, I go to YouTube and I watch that championship season, which you starred in with Stacy Keach and Paul Sorvino and Martin Sheen and all that. Just a great Robert Mitchum, just a great movie, and you have a neat little part in it as a disgruntled teacher.
Well, Jason Miller brought a lot of money to this area, and Jason was one of our favorite people who grew up here, and he was really interested in giving back to the area, and that's why that movie was made here. And we, Scranton Public Theater, helped him with that. I auditioned for that part, and I was lucky enough to get it. No politics involved, Bob.
Neat.
He told me, he said, I gave the best audition of anybody.
Well,
so,
you played disgruntled pretty well.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much. That's a great compliment, because I was supposed to be disgruntled.
Now, have you done any other one-man plays?
Jason Miller's play, Barrymore's Ghost. It was the last play that Jason wrote.
Yes.
And we did Barrymore's Ghost. Jason played the key character in that, and that was his. He wrote that because he figured as he got older, he may be able to fall back on that piece of theater.
Yeah.
And so anyway, if you've never seen it, Barrymore's Ghost is a really interesting piece of theater. It's about John Barrymore, and anyway, Jason's gift to the world was his ability to write.
Yeah.
And championship season won the Pulitzer Prize, the Tony Award. And he won an Emmy for his screenplay on Isaiah Thomas's mother, the Mary Thomas story.
Yep.
So, Jason
and was nominated for an Academy Award.
It's funny. We did a number of plays in Philly, Scranton Public Theater with Jason, and I would always try to say, well, he wrote Championship Season and all that. Most of the people in Philly couldn't care less about that. The Exorcist was in town.
Yeah.
And, that's really what made him famous. But in terms of gift, yes, he was a gifted actor. But as far as a writer's concerned, there weren't many better. And
I remember when Imus came into town and was doing the show that time at WARM. And it went off the rails, which it can with Imus. But Rob Bartlett was part of his cast. And Rob also, he did Broadway. He did Chicago. I mean, he really was a great actor, star, all that. When we were in the Radisson and Jason Miller came in, you would have thought, and I knew Jason for so many years, I was casual for me. You would have thought God walked in for Rob Bartlett and the guys on the Imus show. They couldn't believe Jason Miller was there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Jason was, again, I don't, have to say it, but I'm going to say it. He was the greatest actor that ever came out of this region. And
an actor's actor. An actor's actor.
They loved him.
Yep.
Everybody ever I talked to, from Martin Sheen, Paul Sorvino, from all those guys, they really wanted to work with Jason. And because of the respect they had for him.
Yeah.
So, I was lucky enough to be able to work with him for 16 years. He was our artistic director at the Scranton Public Theater. And we were dedicated to making sure that the product that we put out on the stage was top shelf.
Yeah. And it was.
He wouldn't settle for anything less, and he made us all better.
Yeah.
So, that's, when you work with talent like that, they're going to make you better. And so it's part of our legacy. But this play, The Last Thoughts of Gino Murley, is part of our legacy now. It's engraved in the literary archives of northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of the fact that Tom Flannery, who was Joseph X. Flannery's son, took it upon himself to write this play.
And a great creative writer. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm excited about it. Not only for to observe your performance, which is going to be great, I guarantee.
It better be.
But the Unico insists.
I'm not kidding you. It better be.
Well, but knowing how talented Tom is, this is great stuff. And it's again.
The writing itself, Bob, is a delight for an actor to sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
There's tons of philosophy in the play. It's funny. Merle was a tough, spiritual, had a great sense of humor, and hopefully I'll be able to get that across.
And beyond humble.
I'll tell you one thing.
Beyond humble.
Very much so. His family's coming in for the play.
Great.
His son Gino, who runs the cardiac ward at Thomas Jefferson Hospital in Philly, they're coming in. He and his wife, and of course Chet Murley from Peckville. He's going to be there, and Chet has done a lot of help with us. His wife Mary's gone, but his daughter Maria is in San Antonio, Texas. She's seen the play. So, like I said earlier, we're really proud to have this show as part of our repertoire.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to drop it. We've had over 60,000, and people go, "Oh, that's not true." I said, "No, yes, it is true." We've had 60,000 people over from 37 different high schools, and I've done this play in front of 900 students, and at various other places too. Lackawanna College being one of them. The theater is really a great space to do the show in. The lighting and the sound are extremely important to the production values of the show, and they're like the two separate characters that I have the opportunity to work with.
Yeah.
And without getting redundant, but I will get redundant. This is a wonderful piece of theater. People should see this play. And again, it's only 50 minutes long, so it's a quick 50 minutes, and there's tons of material, philosophy in there. So, and I'm just thrilled that you have given me the opportunity to be on your show.
I can't wait for it. I really can't. Thursday, 7 o'clock, Lackawanna College's People's Security Theater. Bob Schlesinger performing The Last Thoughts of Gino Murley. I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations.
Bobby, I can't wait to do it.
Yeah. Thanks to Unico for doing this as well.
Yeah, Unico. Those guys have been great. He's one of them.
Yep.
I mean, Murley was Italian, and those guys like to promote the very best of the Italian community, and certainly Murley represents that.
Amen. Bob Schlesinger, look forward to seeing you Thursday, my friend. We'll talk to you again before that.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
All right, my man. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to hear from our great sponsors. We have, brought to you by, then we have the Veterans Tribute, brought to you by John Basiliga. And then we've got the weather, which is not that important, but then something that is important, Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, our candidate for Superior Court here in Pennsylvania. We'll be back. our veterans this hour. Men we lost this year, but pay tribute to today and celebrate. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality. Got to go to the Far Street Tavern Friday afternoon. It was just fabulous. Terra 519. They're open Monday nights. That's a good time to go. So maybe see you there tonight. And then Eastern Roofing Systems. The premier roofer in not only Northeast Pennsylvania, but the Eastern Seaboard. They do commercial and projects large and small, but they'll come to your house and bring that expertise to a house roofing job. Serenity Care. 4 facilities, including 2 facilities with dementia care units, Mid-Valley and Kingston. They're also in Old Forge in Wyoming. And then J. Bass Realty. Some of the most beautiful apartments you will see anywhere throughout Lackawanna County, coming soon to Luzerne County. And, of course, tremendous commercial space featuring buildings like the old Southern Union building. Richard Dendler. He worked for Ford Motor Company. He was 91 when we lost him March 27th. He was from Orangeville, born in Berwick, resided in Orange Township since 2004. He formerly lived in Chalfont. Last employed assisting his daughter Jane in her business, Pony Party Paradise. Earlier, he'd been employed in a furniture factory in Chalfont and the Ford Motor Company in Mahwah, New Jersey. Richard proudly served us with the U.S. Army during the Korean conflict, 1953 to 1955. Happily married and devoted to his wife, the former Angela Sakato, who survives him. They were married 62 years. Survived by 2 daughters, 8 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, and other family. Richard Dendler. William Bill Hunter. He was 87. He died March 27th. He was from Nescapec. He was born in Berwick, attended Berwick area schools, and proudly served us in the United States Coast Guard. On February 24, 1959, he wed the love of his life, the former Alice Siegfried. Together they raised their family and shared 66 years of marriage. Bill was a longtime employee of Wise Potato Chip Company, where he retired after 40 years. He also worked at Berwick Forge and Foundry and Knorr Construction. He was a hunter, enjoyed coyote hunting of all things. He trained blue-tick coonhounds. Surviving are his beloved wife, Alice, 3 children, a slew of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and a great-great-granddaughter. Bill Hunter. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and his great companies. Oh, that tells me the weather. Storm Tracker 16 forecast meteorologist Joe Snedeker tells us today, sunny and breezy, 67. Tonight, partly cloudy, 41. Tuesday, partly sunny, 68. Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, and cooler with on and off rain showers, 55. Okay. Not so bad. Well, we've got these critical judicial races. And I'll tell you, we've been fortunate to talk to our candidates, both Wolford, for who we talked to last hour, for the Commonwealth Court. And, of course, we are blessed with Anne-Marie Wheatcraft. She's a president judge down in Chester County, and she's our candidate for Superior Court, and she's back with us again. Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, Judge Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, welcome.
Thank you, Bob. How are you today?
I'm great. It's good to have you back on the air to talk about your candidacy. I know you've been busy. You've been everywhere. When with a state as big as Pennsylvania, And the fact that Republican votes are in rural areas, some of the smaller counties population-wise, what do you do on your last day of the campaign?
Well, and I've covered 10,000 miles since the beginning of January. So I've been, I think, in 33 or 34 counties. So, it's today I'm at work. I'm doing my president-judge thing at work. Tomorrow I'm going to be out and about at polls. I'm going to make as many polls as I can tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. And the really good news is we have good weather for Election Day.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was a committee woman, I felt like it rained on every single Election Day that I had to stand outside.
Well, that is a blessing. It is a blessing to have a beautiful day. And Republicans have a tendency not to get out to vote, at least in droves, the way they do on presidential election days. Yeah. But, we just got to convince people, get out and vote.
Yeah, it's so important. The courts make so many decisions that really affect the safety of our communities and, the work that police officers do. And I think that if people even take a few minutes to Google and gather some information, whether it's about me or Matt or the courts and how important they are, they will maybe be a little bit more motivated to get out there. But I'm hoping that everybody who's listening and everybody who does care really, uses their influence and all their family and friends and coworkers to convince them that it's so important.
Judge Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, you have a son who's a cop, so you get that.
I do, and I was prosecutor for 12 years.
Yeah.
So it's so important. It's so important. All of the decisions they make that the courts make related to search and seizure law, DUI law, all of that is so critical to the safety of our communities.
Now, Superior Court has to take any appeal that is brought to it from local courts, from Commonwealth courts. So you're hearing everything. The Supreme Court does not. You've got to get a writ of cert there, but Superior Court handles it all, every appeal.
Yes. Well, other than the ones that go to Commonwealth Court, all of the common pleas court trial cases or even guilty pleas, all of those appeals, any appeals for ineffective assistance of counsel, all of that goes to Superior Court. And yes, you're correct. They do have to address every single appeal, and the Supreme Court takes what they want to take.
And you have, as a judge, for over a decade now? Am I correct on that?
I'm in my 14th year as a judge. Yeah.
Incredible. And now president judge. You've seen how all of this works, how it's supposed to work. Your prior career as a prosecutor, you've been involved on the other side of the bench. Great qualifications. I'm sure that's being accepted by the people that you get to run into and say hello to.
Yeah. No, I've gotten a lot of support. I have, being the state committee endorsed candidate, the Republican endorsed candidate, having the Pennsylvania Bar Association highest recommendation. All of that stuff is extremely important. And my qualifications and experience are why I've earned those recommendations and endorsements.
Well, we appreciate you being with us again. Judge Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, easy to spell. We know what makes up that your name.
That's right.
And you are our candidate for Superior Court Judge. I look forward to voting for you tomorrow. And thanks for coming on with us and talking to this region.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for having me, Bob. And it's the W's for the win. That's our motto.
Wolford and Wheatcraft. I love it.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Keep going. Stay strong. Stay safe on the campaign trail. And we'll look forward to a great result and talk to you after the election.
Sounds excellent. Thank you so much, Bob.
All right. Judge Anne-Marie Wheatcraft. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Thanks, Gerard. Thanks, Frank. May 19th, Mother Teresa. St. Teresa says we should ask ourselves, have I really experienced the joy of loving? True love is love that causes pain, that hurts, and yet brings joy. This is why we pray, asking for the courage to love and love more deeply than ever before. Someone who loved perfect strangers and devoted her life to them, Mother Teresa. Thank you, Mary Regina. Love getting that in. I got sent this, and it's sort of it's a commentary. And we've got a lot of things going on. You know that. Josiah Lippincott. And he's texting, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over foreigners only when they are in the country lawfully. The Constitution does not apply to enemy combatants on American soil, illegal immigrants, or to foreigners in their home countries. Moreover, deportation is not a punishment. Foreigners have no right to appeal their removal to their home countries to American courts. Just a fundamental misunderstanding by the entire legal profession about what citizen means. Josiah Lippincott. Thank you, John, for sending that to me. There's a couple other things I want to get to, but Mark Payne is on the blower. He's running for city council on the Republican ticket for Scranton City Council. We need that additional vote. Mark Payne, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bob.
Hey, you've been in business in Scranton. You've dealt with everything that a business owner could deal with, everything a citizen could deal with. And you ran a great campaign last time. And yet, they're just voting blind Democrat.
You know, I was just listening to you talk about Mother Teresa and, how love could be painful. And I love this city so much, and at times it's been extremely painful to love Scranton, just for the mess that it is. But that's why I'm running. We got to get it straightened out. We're losing small businesses left and right. Big businesses don't even want to come here.
Yeah.
And you're right. People kind of they vote blindly because of whatever letters after your name. And at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. It's a T-shirt. So, if you're playing baseball against a red T-shirt or a blue T-shirt, when the game's over, win or lose, you all go out and have a drink together. You're doing it for the love of the game. And that's why, I'm running. I'm running for the love of the city.
How about the snafu that the newspaper made with a Democrat candidate taking a picture with you or being in a picture with you? And I think to myself, it is so childish and moronic. I don't even know I didn't even know how to comment on it. I really didn't.
It was hysterical. And the funny part is somebody called me over the weekend. They said, did you read Chris Kelly's column? And no, I don't. So they sent it to me. And apparently there's a group of council people that are running in Taylor, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and they get along. And he was bragging on how nice it is that they get along. But yet,
but not you.
In the city of Scranton, if you're a Democrat, you can't be with Mark Payne.
Oh my God! Well, he's a scary idiot. He really needs to be institutionalized. I don't know any other solution for the guy. I really don't.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Well, Mark Payne, we're pleased that you decided to run, that you put yourself up, and you know what? Being blunt, even though you know everybody, you put that in air quotes. It sometimes take a couple times for people to get it. Hey, this guy's really solid. He's come back. He's asking for our vote again. Let's give him a shot. And so this primary tomorrow and the fall, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a different story. I think it might be.
Well, I hope it will be. I'm doing this not for myself. I'm doing this for my grandkids, for my kids, for your kids, for our future. Yeah. I just turned 60. I'm in the 4th quarter already. It's what we're leaving behind. I hear a lot of candidates always come on and they say, oh, you want to leave someplace better than you found it. Well, this place was better than it is now. When I first found Scranton, it was a fantastic place. And since then, the ones in charge have destroyed it. I'd like to put it back to how it used to be.
Yeah.
And what a great city it was. And I think that's what we do. And the more people I talk to, they seem like they're just as disgusted with it as I am. and hopefully
we just had
we get a change.
We had a random listener who came in for University of Scranton graduation and said he couldn't believe the streets. Like, yeah, we're flying all over to meet Joe Biden and pretending he's of sound mind, our current mayor, and then you got the three blind mice, fortunately 2 of whom will not run for re-election, just voting with her blindly, and nothing's getting done, and consultants are getting hired, costing us millions, and the basics aren't getting accomplished. Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, just what she spends alone on her office alone is crazy. I mean, she has 2 personal confidential assistants that are making $100,000 between the 2 of them.
There's a revelation I didn't even know. And you can't. Their job is to keep people away from her.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, absolutely. This budget that they passed, everybody got raises, and the people aren't realizing. Yeah, this year we didn't get a tax increase because she's running for mayor. There's no way that they would have passed a tax increase.
This is a phony budget, as phony as the day is long.
Well, unfortunately, it's real, but it's just not sustainable.
Yep.
There's no way that we can move forward without a major tax increase, and this got to start getting chopped.
Yeah, you either got to change things, you got to change the paradigm, or you do what the mayor does, which is trying to get elected so that they could then run for Congress. It's awful.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, Mark Payne,
Correct.
Thank you. I'll be voting for you tomorrow. I appreciate you running. I really do.
I appreciate that. Just let's make sure everybody gets out and votes. It's important. Numbers count.
All right, my friend. Mark Payne, Scranton City Council. He's a Republican, proud to run as such. Good stuff. Yeah. So something that came across. Now, it doesn't match with a lot of other things. Now, Moody's has reduced our bond rating, the United States. That's not a good thing. They're concerned about future borrowing. By the way, they're looking at a static version of what these tax cuts to working people will do. So I think they're wrong. But there was a $258 billion budget surplus, $49 billion greater than the year before. We'll be back after Bloomberg. Dire Straits, Murph tells us they released their hit Sultans of Swing, this date 1978. And it wouldn't become a hit until it was re-released in 1979, which is when we made it our prom theme at Dunmore High School. Apropos of nothing, literally. It just because it was a silly song and everybody would remember it, right? By the way, on this Biden, and we didn't get to talk about it much today, this Biden cancer revelation. My man Gary Duncan texted, he says, they all knew they were lying. They all know they continue to lie. They all want you to continue to accept their lie. Because he said, I feel sorry for him. Of course I do. But I have to say this, those who mock President Trump in the moment he narrowly escaped death, when struck by a would-be assassin's bullet, now demand sympathy and solemnity for Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. The hypocrisy is glaring. You know it. Somebody texts in, greetings, Bob. ALTS, back at you, man. On these three judges that you've said have to be defeated, Weck, Donnelly, Doherty, is that a question on the ballot to retain, or is it a one-person vote? I don't think it's on the ballot this spring. It's the fall. It's a retention vote. I think it comes up this fall. So thank you for asking. To touch on what Mark Payne said, somebody texts in, it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. Amen. He's great. We had great candidates on today, didn't we? Speaking of great, our veterans. Brought to you by our guy, John Basiliga, who he was just honored at the Marley's Mission over the weekend. We have to get him on the air to talk about that. He does so much great work behind the scenes, never mind the companies. Frank Barry, Taylor, Robert Burke, Whitehaven, Tony Jankowski, West Scranton, Boris Borishevitz, Dixon City, Bill Hunter, Nescapec, and Richard Dendler, Orangeville. Our great veterans today. Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell Show after that. Election Day tomorrow, God willing, I'll be with you at 9 a.m. to talk more about that and everything else. But for now, we must sign off with the Sultan swinging in the background and say adios, gaveling to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, otherwise known as the Bob Cordaro Show. Great to be with you guys. You know that.